Chapter 11, Full 60, October 1998. Mo spent Friday afternoon on edge. Halloween came on a Sunday this year, making Friday the cusp of a big party weekend. Kids jumped with excitement or disappointment as they rummaged through the remaining costumes at Kmart. Otherwise, serious adults wore cute devil horns and fairy wings while they typed away in office cubicles and stood behind store counters. Wispy cotton ghosts, plastic pumpkins, and cut-out black cats graced apartment windows all over town. When Mo arrived at his pad, he left the lights off and curtains. He sat alone in the dark, waiting for a call from Rico or Chente. Tonight was the night of the hits. Time to strap on the tape and the wires and see what was up. That afternoon, Chente had bought the ski mask, sweats, and gloves for the mission, and one of the crew's little homies had swung around Mo's pad to stash the stuff in the trunk of Mo's car. After the youngster left, Mo barely had time to drive over to Agent Martinez, have the items photographed as evidence, and replaced in the trunk before Chente came to pick up the car again, the clothes safe and put away. Chente told Mo someone would return soon with his ride. It was 8 p.m. and still no word about the evening's plans. No car either. Something about Halloween and the fall darkness coming earlier made tension hum through the city like the buzz of power lines. Mo at last caught up with Chente on his cell phone. The man was hiding out at a friend's apartment. "What happened, bro?" Mo asked, anxious. "They followed us, eh? Check this out. They followed us all the way here. And they were damn lucky the cops didn't ask what was in the trunk," Chente added. Mo told Chente he was worried his parole would get violated. The line was partly an act, a way to fit in and assure the guys he wasn't snitching. But it was also the truth. The parole board had been playing games ever since he signed up for this confidential witness shit, and there was the real threat they'd violate him for any old thing before he finished the FBI's work. "Well, as of right now, check this out," Chente said. "They've been violating everybody, okay? A couple people already went in." "What?" Chente said parole had hit that kid Spookio's pad for a search, and the cops hit another homeboy right around 5 p.m., he said. "Now they just cruising by. They cruising back and forth." Chente peered out the window as he spoke, scanning the police action in front of the pad. He said, "They just driving by. They're making U-turns, driving back and forth, flashing the light, and all that shit." He stared as one of Rico's nephews played with a laser pointer. "Hey," he yelled at the boy, "don't even do that, Holmes, because all you're gonna do is give them a reason to come down this way, flashing that light on people." Kids, man. Mo so badly wanted to get through this ordeal and start his own family. The baby wasn't exactly going to wait for the FBI to say, "Okay, coast is clear, come on out." Agent Martinez had been vague about when and where they would relocate him and his girl, and Mo was worried about his mother too. The agent said that they'd do what they could to move all of them into the same county or state, but every day Mo felt the threat of the parole board on his shoulders. Anytime those assholes felt like it, they could send him back to the joint, leaving his mom and girl and newborn child to the freaking animals out there. Chente yelled at Rico's nephew. He admitted he was feeling paranoid. The cops had approached him that afternoon, told him they knew what was happening. The fucking gang unit followed the crew everywhere. The news only added to Mo's jitters. Why did the cops have to throw that shit out there? It was hard enough staying undercover without Salinas PD making everybody paranoid. "They didn't even look at my car or nothing," Mo asked, not sure if the local cops were even aware of what was in the trunk. Maybe only the FBI and a couple of officers were in on this operation. "Nah, they didn't see shit," Chente answered. He said he'd wanted to say some smart-ass shit back to the cops, but nothing had presented itself to him. As they spoke, darkness embraced Mo in his unlit apartment. What a fucked up day it had been. The morning's meeting with Rico might as well have been weeks ago, and it was followed by his FBI debrief, which should have been the day's highlight. Here, he'd handed him a murder conspiracy, laid it out so nicely that talk about whacking people, 5 people, all of which the tapes caught with pristine clarity. But of course it wasn't enough. It was never fucking enough. The federal agents and the local cops seemed to put out these conflicting messages. You had to wonder if they wanted to catch these guys in the act or not. If the Salinas cops kept telling everybody, the feds would never get their big bust. On the other hand, the cops' actions were sort of understandable. 5 citizens were about to be whacked in their city. and the locals just couldn't sit back and watch blood flow, right? Were the FBI and the PD pulling in opposite directions? Was everyone jerking him around in some turf war? Law enforcement was beginning to look just like the NF, with all its factions and egos and power trips. Mo asked Chente whether the crew's assassination mission could possibly continue after so much heat. Surprisingly, Chente assured him it would. He uttered the code words every Norteño soldier knew meant cease all activities and prepare to go to war. Everything's right now still on full 60, Holmes, he told Mo. Tonight, get a good sleep. If Mo slept at all for the others, it was a night of frustrations. After Chente clicked off his phone, he and Rico decided they should at least go whack Lisa Rocha at her pad on Archer Street to have something to show for the day. Spookio volunteered to be the hitter. The brother was young and crazy, and he badly wanted to put in work. He was a protege of Lobo and had rushed right over when he got the 911 beeper messages the night his boss got shot. Spookio took it personal. He was hungry, almost desperate to join the NF. He was a hefty kid, and he longed to prove himself in ways besides physical prowess. More than anything in the world, he wanted to be called Carnal. Rico and Chente agreed to let him be the trigger man. They were ready to go take care of their first target. When it looked as if the cops had finally abandoned them for the night, Spookio and Chente peeled away from the pad, or tried to. Chente didn't know how to drive stick, and the damn truck kept lurching ahead and stalling. It didn't take much of this before the gang task force rushed them. While officers assessed their query, Spookio bolted from the truck. Amazingly, he got away and held onto the strap. Rico sat helpless on his own car behind them. The next day, Rico was still fuming. Shit, fucking task force came popping up on my old block over here, snatching everybody up, he told Mo over the phone. Spook had run and shit. Amazingly, the cops had let Rico go, but then he made the mistake of thinking it was all good. With the mission called off, he and Regina tried to slip out real quick to the store when all of a sudden, wham, the gang unit fucking jacked them, middle in the street, pulling out their Glocks and aiming right at them. Rico wasn't strapped, but they busted him for carrying a can of tear gas. Take me to jail for felon in possession of mace, Holmes, he rallied to Mo. They had brought Regina in too, on traffic warrants she didn't know she had. It took all afternoon for them to make bail, and with the others still in jail, it set back the massacre another day. While Rico agonized over these troubling developments, Mo sounded distracted. He seemed not to care about his own ass getting violated by parole and the future of the NF and Salinas. Hey, are they going to snatch me up or what, bro? Mo wondered aloud. Rico had stopped paying attention. Every day that passed without taking action meant Copas and Pelon gained ground in Salinas. Every day that passed without a show of force made Rico and his crew look like fools. Finally, he snapped back to the conversation. Mo was still going on about whether parole was going to pick him up. I don't know, Rico said, annoyed. Call them and ask them. Rico was never one to give up on a mission. In less than a day, everyone bailed out, and by Saturday afternoon, a youngster known as Chachi was chatting in Mo's driveway, explaining that Rico had discreetly stashed the gloves, ski masks, sweats, and walkie-talkies at a safe house. The cool of early autumn had abruptly lifted. An Indian summer sky was now bright and the afternoon air near sweltering, so it was a good thing they'd gotten that stuff out of the car. The collection of the winter garments would have drawn intense interest if the cops had discovered them in Homeboy's trunk. Chachi would have been shocked if he knew where those items had been. Just the day before, they had been neatly draped across the edge of Mo's trunk and photographed by the FBI. Of course, Chachi wasn't going to know that, at least not for many months. And by then, Mo would be far, far away from Salinas. At least it was time. At 7, that Saturday evening, the entire crew, Mo, Rico, Chente, Spookio, Chachi, Fish, and 2 more homies named Kermit and Philip piled into Philip's studio apartment, which happened to be the game's armory and served as another safe house. Mo was wired and ready. The crew's finishing touches on the conspiracy to kill would be discussed while the feds listened in real time. Then the game would head out. And strapped with guns, masks, and maps, like the superheroes, the cops would swoop in to make the massive bust before anyone got hurt. Tonight it would finally end, and the agents would be happy, and Mo and his girl could start their life. Months of nerve-wracking work, and now it all came down to this night. As the crew settled into the cramped apartment, they quickly agreed that fool Copa should be the first one to be whacked. But the guys realized no one knew Copa as well. What if they didn't recognize him? It was never good for business to waste the wrong guy. The most distinctive thing about him, he's got of kind of like bulgy eyes, eh? Fish said. They're like bulgy, bro. They're like coming out a little bit. You know what I mean? Like a cartoon. That little mad scientist, that slow one, Felix the cat Mo suggested. They all laughed. The cartoon, the old cartoon. He looks just like that dude, Fish continued. Copas had heavy brows and deep circles under his eyes that did bear a vague resemblance to Dr. Simon Bar Sinister, the arch villain and underdog. Oh yeah, Rico said, I remember what you're talking about, the mad scientist. Yeah. Does he look like a homeboy or a border brother, Rico asked. He looks like a border brother, eh? Then it clicked. Some memory opened up and Copa's face came into focus. He's got a big old thick neck and shit. He's got a teardrop right here. Rico pointed to his own face. Kermit said the guy used to hustle in Chinatown. Oh, yeah, Mo said. Okay, I know exactly who you're talking about now. We have Mo knock on the fucking door and ask if he's there, Rico said. After all, Copas wouldn't see Mo as a threat. Chente agreed. We'll send him in with one of our fucking phone numbers. Homeboy said to get a hold of him. Everyone liked that little touch until it dawned on Rico it was a bad idea. Who needed the cops finding one of their numbers on a scrap of paper next to a body? The men had to admit they hadn't thought of that. Well, Mo could always give the guy a bogus number. It was Spookiel who suggested Mo hand him the number of the morgue. That was a nice touch. They snickered as Rico considered whether Sunday night, Halloween, might be better for pulling this off. Not good news. It meant Mo's work would drag on for another 24 hours, but the idea appealed to the others. Shit. You can wear a gorilla suit, Fish said. Chente agreed. Halloween was perfect because no one would trip on the ski mask. Rico came up with an even better idea. We'll buy wolf masks, Holmes, and see how he likes that. The room exploded with laughter. We'll go buy Lobo masks. Hey, remember those Lobo masks we saw? Mo acted as if he too were amused, but the idea of all this discourse dragging on for another day was almost too much to bear. He worried aloud that Copas wouldn't open the door for him. He don't know nothing about you, Rico said, dismissing the concern. Mo kept on worrying. I just go like this, just play. Rico cut him off. Who cares? Just tell him that you are Mo. Nobody trips on Mo. Fuckers, they'd see. As long as his wire kept on transmitting and as long as they didn't find out about it, any day now, hell, maybe even tonight, they trip on Mo alright. Big time. They be tripping on Mo for the rest of their lives.